To the Most High in Christ. We just want to get on here and because I've been getting some complaints or some kickbacks saying my math is wrong and some things is wrong with my calculations about this about the transatlantic slave trade. They say I got it wrong, so I got more information. I went and did. I'll get the information. I went and got the information that Esau gave us. That's what they're using. That's the only thing out there you can use except for the Bible. A lot of groups don't want to use the Bible, but we realize that the Bible is the only replicable source, right? And we can fill in the details, but Bible don't give all the details of the transporting of the slaves, but we can read in between their lines. You know, they have ulterior motives. You got to read in between the lines, eat the meat, spit out the bones when you're dealing with these people, because we got to remember that their motive was to cut us off from our heritage. They're stealing our heritage. You got to remember that. Not just cutting us off from being a people, cutting us off from our identity and replacing us with themselves to steal our heritage. This is what a lot of people fail to realize what's going on. You know, these people are, the devil come. Remember, Jesus told us, the devil come but to steal, kill, and destroy. Steal is the first thing he mentioned. Why did he mention steal? Because that's his main objective, is to steal our sovereignty on the earth, steal our hierarchy position. God put us above all nations. He put us in charge of the earth. He gave us dominion over the whole earth. And they wanted to steal, they came to steal that, everything. He gave us, when we look in Romans 9 and 4, how he gave us all of the articles of our blessings is the glory, the working of the ministry, the promises. Let's go read that right quick. We're gonna read that right quick. I got some more information I want to show you based on their account of how they moved us around. But let's read that in Romans 9 first, though. Okay. Who are Israelites? Romans 9 and 4. Who pertaineth. These are the things that pertain to the Israelites. The adoption, that's the grafting in. The glory, okay, that's heaven. That's us being placed above all nations, being recognized as God's chosen people. The covenants, we know what that is, the old and the new covenant. And the giving of the law. He gave us the law. He didn't give it to nobody else. He gave it to us to rule the world with. We rule the world with these laws. And the laws are not grievous. They were to bless us, to have us live in peace among people, among other nations. Teach the nations how to keep the law so they can live in peace and eat and be healthy. Eat the right foods, be healthy. There's some clean foods down here. There's some foods God made to help us clean the earth. There's some animals God made us for us to be used to help clean up the garbage of the earth, right? You ain't supposed to eat them damn animals, man. And the promises, all the promises were for us. All the promises, the future promises, right? Which would mean heaven, and all the other promises. Ruling, setting us back in our place, that's a promise. Having dominion over all the universe, everything that God made, telepathing, going to Mars, going to Pluto, whatever. In seconds, you can go from wherever you are to go from one coast to the other coast. Telepathing, all of that was coming. That was coming. The chariots. We had chariots. You know how fast the chariots move? We still have them. Zoom, zoom, zoom. You in one place. Hey, just like that angel took, was it Daniel or one of the prophets? He took and grabbed him and took him out of one place, one dimension, one part of the earth to another part of the earth in a matter of seconds. In a matter of seconds, a blink of an eye. He had to cover him so he wouldn't break apart moving that fast. So he put his hand around him and moved him from one place to the other. We're going to have that ability to travel like that. That's, but I'm showing you the promises. I'm showing you what belonged to us. Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came, who is over all, God bless forever. Okay, so let's go back. So, like I was saying, I kind of missed my thought. Let's see. Oh yeah, they were trying to steal our position, to steal our heritage of the earth. We inherit the whole earth. We inherited all those things I just showed you. That's what they were trying to steal. God gave them to us. Jacob and his mother did not steal that from God. God gave this to us. That's why he showed Elizabeth. That's why he showed Rebecca who the chosen would be Jacob, not Esau. I know the church and white evangelical churches and preachers, they teach Jacob stole Esau's blessing. He tricked him out of it. No, he didn't trick him out of nothing. God put it in their hearts to ask, in Jacob's heart, to ask Esau. He know Esau. He had been raised up with Esau. Esau didn't give a damn about his people, his blessings. He knew Jacob wanted it. He sold it to Jacob. It was a deal they made, right? He sold it to him. And what he wanted was the part of his father's inheritance, the first part and the best part, because he wanted to take it and use it and get away from those people. He wanted to get away from the Israelites, and he ran to where he wanted to go as soon as he could. He ran down to the heathens as soon as he could. As soon as his father was dead, he took his curse was he called it a blessing to be able to go take and kill everything and take whatever he want without chastisement, without punishment, without God coming down on him. Right? Cain was the same way. The wicked, they are the border of wickedness. Esau understood his blessing. A blessing to take and live by the sword. Live is the key word. You would live as you use your sword to take what you want. you would not die but live by the sword. It's right there. Everybody want to jump up and run to the Greek and retranslate and get other translations. You speak English, it's right there. You got to understand comprehension, how to comprehend messages. You can't understand one word, the next word, without understanding the first word in the message. The message is put together, is spelled out. You got to understand spelling, how to spell words, and how they're used to form sentences, which help you to understand the message. You say C-A-T, you know it spells cat. You've seen a cat, it refers to the cat. C-A-T refers to a cat, so you get a picture of a cat in your mind. You get the message. So you got to get these messages. Esau's curse was, he shall live by his sword. He'll use his sword to live. He will kill to live. Kill to live. Who you kill? Other people. You kill the other nations and take their stuff. That's how you will live. You will not be punished for killing. He understands that even to today. Esau understands that with his police, and that's why he make movies where people are killing and surviving and killings, and he's just describing his life and his lifestyle and his blessing. He killed to live. And when you tell him he can't kill, then he'll sneak around and kill behind your back. Make law saying he can't kill and see if he don't kill you. Make that law if you want to. So it's going to take the Most High to revoke his privileges to kill and live. You get what I'm saying? So that's just a quick lesson to help you understand who this devil is. He's killing us to steal our inheritance. That's how he lives. Because the earth is cursed to him. He can't grow. He going to eat all the food up. He going to die of diseases if he don't kill somebody else and take their place. He did it all over the world. Okay? So that's what's happening. So I'm going to go here and let's listen to a little of this. All praises to the Most High in Christ. Down here today, Indianapolis. Gonna go down here by the Colts, the dome, look around. The Israelite camps, they say that the colonizers brought them over here. They are the Jews, and the colonizers brought them over here. You know, we just go along with anything the camps say because we're just so happy to have our identity back to an extent, right? We know that we're not some slaves from Africa, right? We know that. And so, but we hear the camp saying, yeah, nah, the black people in this land is Judah. You know, when I say that, we know we're not some slaves from Africa. We are the same slaves that were slaves to every nation on this earth. We are homegrown, homeborn slaves. We are slaves to the whole world because like Kanye West said, we chose that to be slaves. We chose it. God warned us. He said it out before us. He said you will be below and on the bottom, and everybody be walking over you. You will be walking mats for all the nations if you don't keep the law and live above the nations. I will keep you above the nations. And our people are still choosing to be floor mats for the nations instead of living above the nations. We have countless accounts of videos, people saying, no, I don't want to be those special people of God. I want to bring all the nations in with me, even though they are high above me. I want to love them and forgive them when they torture me and kill me and steal my stuff. I want to vote and get a voting And I want to use the voting system to bring us back. When God said, the Most High said, if you keep my laws, then I'll shoot you to the top. I'll shoot you back to the top. These blessings will pursue you, and they will automatically push you back on top of these other nations if you just repent. Bethink yourself. Repent with all your heart. Come back and try to keep the laws as much as possible. Do my will. Be witnesses for me. Let your life be a witness of who I am. Show me the Father. And that what Jesus Christ said, if you seen me, you seen the Father. Then he told us to go be witnesses unto him. If we being witness unto him, we see the Father. When we be witness to Christ and walk like Christ, we showing the world the Father. But we refuse to do that. We want to show the world the devil. That's why Jesus said, you of your father, the devil. When they see you, they see your father. Just like today, when people see you, that's why they count all of us and blame the father. And, they set up a narrative to where, the father ain't in the home. And then they say, yeah, look how the father leave the home. And look at these little monster thugs and stuff that we got because the father is a bad father and they're bad parents. They don't know how to raise their kids. Now they're all thugs, deserve to go to prison, alligator, Alcatraz. So we're going to just show you, we wanted to tell you the motive of these people. The devils, they're considered the fathers, they said the children of their fathers. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So are you going to believe them or are you going to believe the Most High God? Let me show you some evidence. The first part of the evidence would be 2nd Ezra. Okay. Now, I'm sure all you guys have read that, but for those people who have not, let's read this. Let's read first. Those are the 10 tribes. 2nd Ezra, let me put this in. 2nd Ezra 13, and let's look at the 40th verse. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land, in the time of Hosea, the king of Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive and carried them over the waters, so came they into another land. So this is after these 10 tribes of the northern kingdom. And so after their captivity in Assyria, they let them go. After they took them into another land by boats. But they took counsel among themselves, verse 41, that they would leave the multitude of the heathens. They left them. How'd they leave them? They let them go. They had them captive. They had boats over the water, right? Probably those same boats. They gave them boats to get back home. They said, well, we ain't going to go back where they can come and find us again. We're going to go somewhere else where they can't bother us no more. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathens and go forth into a farther country where never mankind dwelt. Nobody was dwelling in America. The Bible is the best reference now. It's replicable. This is God speaking. He's telling us, you people that don't believe in God, we don't care. It's not going to stop the truth. You're going to believe and see him. You're going to bow. Every knee shall bow You're going to recognize who you bowing down to, who the God you said didn't exist, the sky daddy. You're going to realize all of this is coming to pass. All right? No man never dwelled here where these 10 tribes went. That was the northern kingdom in North America, the land of the north, above Europe. We are sitting above Europe. Don't care what your map say, we are sitting above Europe. Matter of fact, you can Google it. North America is northwest of Europe, regardless of what your map say. Moving to a farther country where never mankind dwell, that they might keep their statues which they never kept in their own land. Never kept in their own land. That's why they start going into captivity. These people never kept the full law in their own land. They always drifted away from the law as a great multitude, because God don't just punish. Unless the king is leading you away and you following the king away, he don't punish the whole nation until the majority grab hold. Until the majority, and then you can't really gather back as yourself and receive a blessing as a nation till all of y'all start thinking the same way. You got to get your identity back within your own group. Because if not, you're going to have infighting like we have now. We've got Hotep and FBAs and Native Americans and Black and Afro-Americans and Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans and all of that fighting against themselves to stay divided. But the Bible said in the last days, we're going to gather back together. You got to do it first in your thinking. That's why it's important to get this identity thing right. Right. We got to show how we separated in order to to draw back together. Right? We got to show what happened in order to find our way back to where we're supposed to be as one nation. That they might keep their statues which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow place of the river. They went down the Euphrates rivers. So that lets you know them boats wasn't that big, man. Them boats wasn't that big that they had in that day and time. Right? That was about 1,500 years before the colonizers started coming over here. Maybe 1,600 years. For the Most High then showed signs for them. He showed them signs and held still the flood till they passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go. After they got down through the Euphrates and all down through there and hit the Atlantic Ocean, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half. So it took them, after they got down through the Euphrates into the Atlantic Ocean, it took them a year and a half. The same region is called Azareth. It took them a year and a half to get through Atlantic Ocean, which was called Azareth. That's the region. It's called Azareth. And I'm not so sure, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely 1 year and a half, as the same region is called Azareth. So the passageway to what we call America, that region is called Azareth. Was a great way to go, namely through that country, through the Euphrates and let's see, Yeah. The Most High showed them signs for them, showed signs for them, and hell still the floods. Okay, tsunamis, the floods. There was floods happening. There were floods back then, which we call Mother Nature. Our Edomite friends got us calling uh the events that happened with the waters, floods. So he held back all the floods and hurricanes and tornadoes and stuff that happened based on atmospheric pressures and uh, uh, occurrences, elements and occurrences, and the heavens above, and all this stuff got to do with the weather. For through that country there was a great way to go. Through that country, after you got through that country, there was a great way to go. Namely, a year and a half. The year and a half, the great way took a year and a half, and the same region, the region means the great way to go. The passageway to was called Azareth. So America wasn't called Azareth. North America, it was the land of the north, according to Isaiah. It wasn't called Azareth. You can start naming it whatever you want, but the region is the passageway to the land of the north was called Azareth. So it's a whole lot that Nate and General Yohanan and all these other cats don't have when you think of comprehension. They don't read. They just say what their leaders before them said who couldn't read. Bad behavior is learned, right? If you can't read and somebody reads something and tell you what it means, you can't read, so you don't have no comprehension and reading skills. So you just gonna repeat what they said. That's what they said is what they said. It's that right there what they said. You ain't trying to understand what they said right there, what they said. Then dwelt they there until the latter time. We're here to the end time. We ain't gone nowhere. We ain't gone nowhere. We still here. And now when they shall begin to come, and now when they shall begin to come, talking about let's see. Stream again that they might go through, therefore sawest thou a multitude of peace. Okay. The highest shall stay the spring and the spring of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude of peace. But those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders. Okay, that's moving into something else. So we read the account, right? We read that we're here, we ain't go nowhere. It's the end times. So now we're going to go here. We're going to read what Esau claims to be his account of his transporting the slaves. He brought us here. He brought us here. We just read where he didn't bring us here. So many of us were brought here by the Most High God. He brought us here. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have got here, because there was floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, and currents that if you go down up under Africa coming over here, it'll take you right back to the top of Africa. If you start from the top of Africa, Morocco, and try to come over here without the Most High, it'll send you right down to the bottom. The currents, the undercurrents will send you to the bottom of Africa. You can't get over here unless in God still the waters and give you the wind, the right wind. Let's see. This is history.com. So 12 million enslaved Africans were transported from Africa between 1500s and the 1800s. That's 300 years, man. 360 years. They later say 1525 or something like that. So you come right up around 325 years. Yeah, 325, something like that. Rounded off. Between 15 and 18 as a part of the transatlantic slave trade. Slave ships range from the size of 10 tons. I'm not going to read all this. We're going to just jump through in certain parts. Slave ships range in size of 10 tons. What's that? Hethkic. Which carried a crew plus 30 captive Africans. That's how they say they start off. See, you're going to see so many discrepancies in this. They started off, say they don't have any replica. They keep contradicting themselves as they tell you this story. Which could carry a crew plus 30 captive Africans. So they started off just bringing 30 people over here. It took the Israelites a year and a half with God's help. They'll tell you that it only took them. Now, you'll see, if you Google it, they'll tell you to get from Africa, from Ghana, was that Guinea, wherever that slave port is over there, to get from there to Virginia, they'll tell you it takes from 6 to 8 weeks. They'll start telling you from 6 to 8 weeks. Google it. And then if you tell them you had a sailboat, they'll tell you with a sailboat in that particular day and time, it took you anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks. So they'll tweak it down. They tweaked it they said, well, as they saw the need for more and more slaves, they built bigger boats with bigger sails. Okay? So they'll tell you at that point, it took anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Now, in a run of a year, if it takes you 2 months, we're going to do the math too. If it takes you 2 months to get one way, that's a one-way trip. If you got a good wind, we're going to give them that. We're going to give them that. Although we just read where the Most High said he helped them get over here smooth sailing. They only had so much food, so he got them over here before they starved to death in a year and a half. So they had enough food couldn't be a lot of people. They probably had, I don't know how many boats, but, they wasn't packed in like sardines. So in other words, they didn't carry that kind of, they probably said 30, let's say 30. 10 ships with 30 people, 10 tribes, 10 ships, 30 on the ship. Let's say that's how it started out, right? 10 times 30. Let me see. I ain't good with that. I ain't good with the calculations. Okay. Okay. I don't know why I couldn't get that. 300. 10 times 500. 10 times 50 is 500, right? Let's see. Get my tens right. I have to get my tens right. Okay. Yeah, so 10 times 30, let's say they had 300. They brought 300. 10 tribes, 300. Let's say let's say 50. Say they brought 500 people over here. 500 of the northern kingdom. They brought them over here. Because remember, they left some behind. Only certain ones wanted to go. Certain people wanted to go. All the northern kingdom did not come over here. So, okay. So, let's see. They carried crew plus captive Africans to the 566 ton. Okay, they carried them to the ship, which carried the crew. So they carried in the small boats. They was carrying them by 30 to the large boats. Okay, and the large boats, you see how they do. They can't pull that large boat up to the shore of Africa. They out in the water. Then they said they giving you a detailed account. They said they carried 30 at a time in boats, and they filled it up. They said they had a crew of 100 could hold the. It said these boats, which carried a crew of 100, could hold cargo of as many as 700 enslaved people. The lower deck of a slave ship was divided into two separate compartments for men and women. They didn't chain the men and women together. For one, we said they did. They give us the Israelites give an account where the women was down there and defecating on the men, and on they period time of the month they was bleeding all over the men. But Esau said that didn't happen. He said he had the women with the women, men with the men. Men was chained up. He said the lower deck slave ship was divided into two separate compartments for men and women, with the men shackled together. The men were shackled, chained up together in pairs. They chained them up two by two. They left the women unchained, but confined below. The conditions were appalling, with hundreds of people crowded together. Okay, we got that capture stuff, this disease. We see the diseases and all that despair. As a result, the mortality rate was above 20% for captive Africans in the first decade of the slave trade, and about 10% by the 1800s. It was 20%. They lost 20% of their cargo. What is 20% of 700? Let's just give them 700. They lost 20% of 700. I think that would be 140. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 140. So, captive Americans, okay, so The first 10 years, they lost 140, so that would leave them with 560 on each trip for 10 years. Now, they're claiming they broke that down to 10%, which would be 70% by the 1800s. You see what I mean? A decade is 10 years. If they started transporting in the 1500s, 10 years would be 1510, a decade. They said it didn't break it down to 10% till the 1800s, till slavery was over. So you can't believe what these people said. That math is not right. Okay, it says 1800s. The possibility of mutiny or revolt resulted in heavy hand discipline. With discipline, crew, captive cargo were routinely whipped in more extreme forms. They jumped over the ship. They didn't count. They wasn't counting that. The 20% that they were losing was sickness. But then you also had mutiny. You had people committing suicide. So let's say they ended up with 140, another. Let's see, they say they ended up with 500 a ride, 500 people each trip. Okay, let's see here. Vessels sailing under Portuguese flags, for example, transported enslaved Africans from West Central Africa to Brazil. Dutch ships sailed. So if they couldn't get, here's the thing right here. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to say over there. I should have said it. Let me just go back and see if I can pick it up. Oh yeah. Now, let's say it took 2 months one way, right? Then they still had to take another 2 months to get back to get more cargo. You gotta remember that now. 2 months to bring them over here, 2 months to go back and reload. Right? So you had in a 12-month year, you had 6 cargo trips. You made 6. You filled the ship 6 times and brought them over here. So that's just a half a year. I mean, that's just let's see. Let's do the math on it before we get here. Let's stop and do this math. Let's do this math, man. We're going to do this math. So, you got 6 months out of a year, right? And I've been in here a long time, 43 minutes. That's a long time. Let me hurry up and get out of here. Okay. You got 6 months of cargo. 6 times, let's see. Okay, I got it. You got 6 trips a year times, let's say, 1,000. See, I'm say you had 2 ships. Uh, that equals, so you got 6 trips a year, and 1,000 times 1,000 equals what? 6,000. Now, let's say let's go 300 years times 300. That's 2 million. They at the most they brought 2 million people here from Africa. Now I'm going to show you where this 12 million come from. Where this other, I'm going to show you. They say they brought at least 12 million over here. We're looking at 2 million. Where did and let's just go. Let's just go. Let's just so we're gonna hurry up and get off here. We've been here too long. You guys, attention span is not that long. So you see the vessels. Here's where it starts. Here's where it gets. You got to listen real close. Vessels sailing under Portuguese flags, for example, transported enslaved Africans from West and Central Africa. We know that's a damn lie because it's over 100 million, over 300. It's about 300 million people in that West Coast. Black people, not Europeans, that's, down there running the colony still, Esau's bastard children. But black and brown people who say they were brought from the West Coast of Africa. This is what they were told. But there was not enough time to bring, they only had enough time, we just figured it out, to bring in 300 years, the distance of slavery, they only brought 2 million to North America. Now, how in the hell did they get all of these slaves, all these black people down in these islands and stuff down here in South America? The Gold Coast, Dutch ships, okay? Central Africa, Brazil, many Dutch ships came. That's the Germans. Sailed from the Gold Coast to Suriname, Suriname, colonial power and mercantilism. Let me see. Mercantilism provided one reason to explain these transatlantic routes made by slave vessels. These routes were made by slave vessels, right? And this is my point exactly. They brought those people, they took those people down there, not from the west coast of Africa, but there were other reasons to explain these transatlantic routes made by slave vessels. Portuguese, they took them there. Portuguese controlled coast territory Angola, such as ports Luanda, Benguela, and ships enslaved Africans from these sites across South Atlantic to their colony cities in Brazil. No, they did not cross the Atlantic. They went down from Virginia, Pennsylvania, Baltimore, all those slave ports there where they had forts there, North Carolina, Florida, Louisiana. They took slaves all up under North America. All up under North America. Then they start venturing out to Brazil. That was that's an easy route. You go up under there, Mexico, and then you start going through, what you call that? Panama Canal. You go down through there around and hit up North America. You're going to see a lot of stuff. Man, that's an easy follow along the coastline. Brazil, Rio, down through there. Come back up. You can easily find Jamaica. You can easily venture out and find Jamaica and Cuba and all of that. You just you can circle Brazil and find all those lands and stay attached to North America. Once you can stay attached. You can travel those coastlines. So yeah, there was a lot of transporting. I had to take that call, so I might be coming in at a different point. But I'm looking at this. There was a lot of. Oh yeah, I was talking about how you could circle along the coast. You could circle South America, Brazil, on back up to North America. Stay near the coast. You can stay far enough out where you can look in and see the land. So you weren't gonna get lost too much circling. You know, you probably could see other islands and stuff. If you venture out a little farther, they had compasses. They could go out a little farther into the sea and find Cuba and Hades, and you found those lands like that, the West Indies. It was easy. Once you got here, you could find, a good navigator, which they had, Issachar. They had Issachar, okay? So, yeah. So we see the Dutch, which are the Germans, they restricted their slave trade to national carriers. Let's look at that a little bit more down here at the bottom. The Dutch controlled the Gold Coast. Da 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 da. Captains cap, captains, is that one? Captains to proceed, ordered their captains to proceed with slaves to their South America colony. Okay. Suriname. Portuguese, Dutch, and the Dutch law restricted their slaves to national carriers. Okay? National carriers mean they took their slaves. They had carriers that only stayed in America, in the Americans. So they transported Northern Kingdom to the places where Jacob said they would be, the Northern Kingdoms would be. They had no idea who the tribes were. They didn't trade. They didn't transfer them to certain different places in the Americas based on what Jacob's prophecy was. God directed them to certain. He directed certain people, certain Dutch, Portuguese, the French, the English. He directed them to grab certain tribes. He pointed them to areas where certain tribes were. And then he pointed out the land. He directed them to the land to carry the Northern Kingdom there. God did it. God did carry them and point them and have the slave carriers put them in certain places, but he put it in. He directed uh, the slave owners, the enslavers, to certain areas where they were, and the slave owners took them back to the particular areas where you know I don't think it made a difference to God where they were. He could have even just let the slave owners, the slave catchers, go pick out their territories and take uh, each tribe of the Northern Kingdom to the lands, and he knew where they were because God sees the end from the beginning. He knew where they would be. Put it like that. He knew where they would be. And so he gave Jacob the prophecy, the vision, to tell them where they would be. God already knew, and he transferred that knowledge to Jacob. Now, did he have a special place he needed them to be? I don't think so. I think he just knew he just knew the future. He knew where who was going, Brazil, Dutch, all these slavers. He knew what they were going to do. He saw the future, right? So that's how I believe that works. You know, did he do it? Yeah, he did it. And at the same time, they did it. Their thinking, you know, the way it came over, the way it happened, I don't think God was say, he said, okay, you go over up there, you know, in Columbus, you go right here. No, I think their wicked thinking did it. He left them to their wicked thinking. He left them to do the wickedness. They were going to do it anyway. He just saw, like he see now, he's leaving Trump to do what he's going to do, what his thinking is telling him to do. At the same time, he already knows the future. He predestinated them according to the foreknowledge, to his foreknowledge of them. He know what you're going to do. And so based on what you're going to do, because he gave you the choice, he predestinated the wicked to go into hell and to see their death. He had something that waited on you. Okay, this is getting long. So just wanted to show you that the transatlantic slave trade, and like somebody said, we concentrate on the North American slave trade, but slavery started in South America. You can Google that, before it did in North America. The transporting started from North America down in South America before they started bringing slaves from Africa to North America. Because why? When they started taking over the East Coast, the colonized areas there were still Indians there. There was still Northern Kingdom Aboriginal people there. So they had to get them all the way out. When they became hostile to these people, they had to get them all the way out of the land. They had to remove them. Because if they started being hostile to them without removing them, then they would be fighting and never get a chance to build or establish their colonies. So they had to move them away into a land that they never experienced, you know, and you know, so that assured, when you move people off their geographical location, places where they're familiar, then they become very unfamiliar. You got wild animals all down through there. You got panthers. You got black panthers. You got all kind of leopards. You know, you got all kind of snakes and stuff. So they had to go down there and clear those lands out. So they took people, the closest people. Why would they go all the way to Africa, get some people? When they're taking over the colonies, the 13 colonies, the East Coast, they took those Indians, removed them, took them down, and had them clear. And, you know, the soldiers had to man the guns. They couldn't go out there and chop wood and chop down. No, they had those slaves to make the clearing and build their forts up. So that's what happened. So it started there first. They had to clear out before they could bring slaves to build up the colonies. They had to clear out the parts of the colonies, which basically the East Coast was already built. All they needed slaves for is to do the work around the the geographical locations, the cities, the towns, the places that were already inhabited by the northern kingdom, they had to take those places. And once they took them by removing the people out, then they brought slaves. They couldn't bring the Indians in, the rest of the Indians, because they knew what had happened. They knew that these were their enemies. From this point on, they knew, okay, these are our enemies. They're destroying our people. So we're going to move far away from them and make a perimeter. And when they cross these lines, we're going to do like David did. He just he realized their enemy and he started defending himself against the enemies. So once they had to do that, that's quick work. Then they start bringing Africans in to support the colonies, the 13 colonies, to work and do the work and pick the cotton so they could have a daily living, so they could maintain control of that East Coast port, right? Then they moved all up under. They moved down up under. They didn't go across. They didn't go across the Midwest and across all through there, the Dakotas, and they didn't go all across through Kansas and all through there, Colorado. They went under. The French went under and up toward California through Texas. They didn't go around and through Mexico. No, they went up. They turned and went up. Louisiana way. Went up toward California and all up through there. No, they didn't go through Mexico. Why? Because Issachar was down there strong. Issachar held strong. Those black Issachar and Gad was in there holding strong. Right? And then as they started taking the coastal lines, which was the better areas anyway, because they traveled by boat, right? And so they could move up inland. So all praises to the Most High. We just wanted to clear that up. I think we cleared it all up. We showed you that the most they brought over here was, did we show that? I would say let's do the math again on that real quick. Yeah, we did. 2 million. 2 million was the most they could bring. We showed how. 2 million was the most they brought. The rest of the people that they say died on the way over here, they brought 12 million, they died. They lost about 12 million. Those were the people, they counting those people that they took to South America, right? They're counting those people that they took to South America, which I believe could have been in the millions. Because it's 200 million down there now. Over 200 million black and brown people. Right? So all praises to the Most High. We're going to get back. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. We're going to get back to that. I want to use that thumbnail, but you guys know what we're doing here. Let's see. Let me use this thumbnail here. Let's use this. Okay. Oh yeah. Let's look at this real quick. So this is between the 15 and 1800s. We see 12 million men and women and children aboard transatlantic slave ships, Africa, on the shores of Africa. 12 million. Now they're saying it's 12 million. The number does not include millions more that died. Millions died during the journey. So they saying they lost millions during the journey. Those millions that they claim that they lost Uh, I believe they're counting that, I don't know why they're saying they lost so many millions more. Because they didn't have, we just showed the map, they didn't have time to bring, they only had time to bring almost 2 million. So they're saying they moved 2 million, they moved 12 million. Well, we believe that they moved those 12 millions, that 12 million from from the North America down to South America, okay, over a period of 300 years. And from approximately, let's look, the life aboard slave ship. We don't need to think about that. We don't even need to think about that. We passed that. Now we get ready to watch y'all life aboard this destruction you're about to feel. It's about to happen to you slavers in 83. 18 1525 to 1806, 12 million Africans foreseeable transport across the Middle Passage. No, that's wrong. As in the New World life, and served as slaves in the New World life aboard slave ships was antagonizing danger. Nearly 2 million slaves would perish on their journey. Those are all they could have brought over here was 2 million. That was what they really brought here. Okay, you gotta read the hype, through the hype. So most of us learned in school that slave ships follow a triangle route. Now this is the part I didn't want to leave out. A triangle route from Europe, Africa, and Europe, Africa, the Americas, and back to Europe. Europe, Africa. They came from Europe, went to Africa, back to the Americas, and back to Europe. But major variations existed. Thousands of voyages began in the Americas. See, you hear what I said? Thousands of voyages began in America, continued to Africa, and returned to the Americas. See, here's what it's saying. Now, here's what, that's the hype, right? Continued to Africa. Okay, when they continued to Africa and returned to America. So when they went down to the Rio de Janeiro, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, they took slaves from America, Angola, to Angola, Rio de Janeiro, Nigeria, whatever that word is, Londa, Angola, Rio de Janeiro, journeyed from the largest single route in the entire slave trade. So from the Americas to Rio was the largest route. They took more slaves down through there from the Americas, which I think what did they say it took to get them down there? About 30 days. They say it took only 29 to 30 days to get from Virginia under to Texas. Louisiana, Texas, take them and they drop them off, take them, drop them off. So it's about an 18-day trip, maybe 20 days to get, to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and to drop off their loads and come back, go over to Africa, pick up. We can get cargo, food and stuff, and get their crew, get a day or two to rest, and they go over. Then they go over to Africa, pick up some slaves, Africans, some Jews, bring them back to North America, pick up them slaves there, pick up them Indians in North America, go down in Brazil, and wherever they need slaves, drop them off. They wasn't taking no slaves back to Europe. At a certain point, they had enough slaves in Europe, unless they were restocking. But probably every 10 years they restock here, but the slaves were having babies. They didn't need to restock like that. So you got other voyages are originated in the U.S. These are other voyages, right? These are just what I just explained to you. U.S. ports like Newport, Rhode Island, Charleston, South Carolina, and brought captives to the Americas in those returns. Why? They telling you they brought people and brought captives to the Americas from on their return. So they took slaves from here, and this is one of the jokes I made before. They was moving them in as fast as they was moving them out. So that don't make sense. They just said they had ports and they were moving these slaves from there down to South America, and they was bringing some back to America, and they was taking slaves to Africa and bringing them back, That don't make sense, man. So I just wanted to show you how you can't believe what these people are saying. What we need to understand is their reasoning. What were they trying to do? They were trying to steal the land and force us to work to help them steal our inheritance, which now they sell it back to us as needed. So all of that is over. I'm going to read one more thing to you. I should say this for a later time, but I'm going to start because we've been challenged. We've been challenged that we don't understand Revelation 6 and 8. So we got to go to the Third Testament, John Smith. We got to go to Smith to understand the Bible. When I'm telling you, I ain't went to no damn Mormons to understand nothing. I got the Holy Spirit. You have an unction from the Holy Ghost, and we know all things. So we got that brother Judah saying you can't understand the Bible unless you go to, and he challenged us, unless you go to these other books, Enoch and Jasper and the Book of Mormons. You have to join the Mormons to get the understanding that God gave. We have to listen to the wicked prophets. So we look here, Revelation 6 and 8, he said that we never teach. So this is, what seal is this? And when he had opened the fourth seal, this is fourth seal. Come and see. And John looked, and behold, a pale horse, as Esau, and his name that sat on him was Death. That's Esau, right? And he followed, and hell followed with him. That's Esau going to hell, right? That's the prophecy of Esau. That's the spirit of death and hell coming to Esau. And power was given unto them over the fourth part. Who is the power and who is the them? Who is power given to? Who's the them here? It ain't the angels. Angels already got power. It ain't the Edomites and 83. They already got power. Big Judah. I'm listening to the Holy Spirit. Giving them over the fourth part of the earth. That's America here, over here. Who's over here without power? Who's the only people over here without power? The Israelites. Esau already had the blessing and power of the earth over the earth, power over the fourth part of the earth. Esau already got the power in the sword. He already killing with the sword. It ain't Esau giving power. It ain't the angels. They don't need no sword to kill you. To kill with the sword. The people here who had no power, they were given power to kill with the sword, which is the indigenous people of the earth. They're the Lord, and the Lord will have vengeance against Edom, against the wicked, by the hand of his people Israel. And with hunger, the food gonna be cut off. And with death, they're gonna just start dying. All kind of rivers, water, all kind of events that cause their death. And with the beasts of the earth. Now we know that Yellowstone Park, right now, the animals are running out of there. For some reason, they up and getting up out of Yellowstone Park. So that lets me know as they come around, as they come out of Yellowstone Park, wolves, bears, they're gonna lose their fear for, for the humans basic survival. In order for them to survive, they gotta lose their fear because they're being forced out of Yellowstone Park for some reason. There's all kind of theories. But the thing is that they're coming, and those people that surround that park, those are Edomites. So we understand this. We don't need the Third Testament to understand this, my brother. If you got a spirit of the Holy Spirit with you, then you can understand this, man. All praises to the Most High.